So I did it, and I figured I would go ahead and, show you guys finishing this quest, and we'll even go ahead and read these pages before we turn them into him. I am a hunter. I am a redeemer. I am Jiub. The tale of my rise to glory begins in the ash wastes of Morrowind. I rode alone, weapon at my side, and the burning wind stinging in my face. My quest was arduous, but necessary to ensure the survival of the Dunmer people. A pestilence was creeping across the ashlands. A menace with an insatiable hunger that plagued innocent travelers simply trying to get home. It was my self-sworn task to hunt them down one by one and drive them from the skies. Their fury knew no bounds, and their war cry resonated across the land. They were the notorious cliff racers, and they had to be destroyed. On a particularly hot day during sun's height, I was tracking what I call a lingerer, a cliff racer without a nest. He was a particularly feisty one too, leading me on a merry chase across almost 3 miles of ash dunes. I had managed to take a piece out of one of his wings in an earlier scuffle, so he couldn't maintain much of a climb. But he still had quite a bit of stamina left, and he was trying to make me tire of the chase. Almost 2 solid hours passed, and my silt strider was tiring, but I couldn't give up. I had sworn to eliminate the foul beast to the last, and I wasn't about to let it go. If I was going to stop the thing, I'd have to do it fast. I pulled my longbow from my back and knocked my last arrow. I took a deep breath and pulled, trying to keep the cliff racer in my sights. It was literally a long shot with the beast gaining distance, and the silt strider bouncing me around at full gallop. Finally, with a silent prayer, I released the string. The arrow sang through the air like a howling demon as it sliced its way towards its target. Finally, just as it crested the top, the lip of a foyada, the arrow struck it in the midsection. It let out a horrible cry and fell out of sight. My cries of triumph were quickly stifled by the sound of over 100 wings. Rising from the foyada was an entire colony of cliff racers, and they were out for blood. The blasted thing had led me right to their nest, and sacrificed itself with the intent of feeding me to its brood. It was a trap. The damn things had become much too clever. Knowing this was likely the end, I jumped down from the silt strider and hit the back of its leg with the flat of my glass blade. There was no need for the innocent thing to die here today because of my stupidity. As the ash cloud cleared from being stirred up by its massive legs, the cliff racer brood approached. I held my sword high and prepared for the worst. The battle lasted 2 full days. I was beaten, clawed, bitten, and knocked down more times than I care to remember. In the end, 76 cliff racers were slaughtered. I was knee-deep in their corpses, and my body was on the verge of collapse. But I had survived. I smiled to the heavens and all went black. When I awoke, all I felt was my back on a cold floor. Every muscle in my body was on fire, and my vision was blurred. Slowly, I tried to climb to my feet. It took several agonizing minutes, but I finally managed to do it. As my eyes adjusted to the dim light of my new surroundings, I realized that I was standing before Lord Vivek himself. He was simply staring at me, floating above his throne, and staring at me with his piercing eyes. When I began to prostrate myself as a sign of respect, he held up one of his hands as if to say it wasn't necessary. Was I dead? Was Lord Vivek pleased with me? Was he about to strike me down in anger for my somewhat sordid past? Suddenly I understood everything. I realized that I was brought here for a reason. I should have died in those ash wastes, but Lord Vivek must have seen something inside me that he hadn't seen in millennia, and decided to spare me from my fate. Thus began my ascent to sainthood. Thus began the rise of Jiub.
You did it. You have all of my pages.
Here's all the pages.
Finally. I never thought I'd see these again. These pages meant the world to me. Thank you.
So now what?
Now Volume 2 begins. What else?
I'll be off then.
Oh, wait a moment. Here, I want you to have these before you go. A pristine copy of my first volume. Only one in print, actually. And take this as well. Seeing as Saint Jiub has ascended to pure spiritual form, I won't need it any longer.
So it's basically all the pages that we found for him, but just as an actual book. And he gives us the Locket of Saint Jiub. Increases your stamina and carrying capacity by 50 points. Increases your movement speed by 20%. Yeah, I'd say that's worth it. If you're not, cheating and modding, then I would say that's definitely worth your time. Getting extra stamina, carrying capacity, and movement speed? Yeah, no, that's nice. That's pretty nice. So unfortunately, we must leave him here. Serana's already trying to keep up with me. I boosted the movement speed back up while I was running around trying to find all these pages. If you're taking the time to explore this place, you can actually, kind of see them pretty clearly. There'll be like little pages on the, on the ground, like little pieces of paper. Like one of them was like right in here. You just go in here, you shoot these two orbs, the thing comes down to open up, and it's like literally right here in between this dagger and this gem. That's one of them. But yeah, you'll be able to actually identify them pretty easily. But I wanted to do that favor for Jiub because, well, it's Jiub. So if you ever want to go back to the Soul Cairn, just, step out here and you'll discover a location out here called the Castle Volcar Balcony. So now you can just fast travel back to this place if you want to go back to the Soul Cairn real quick, rather than just straight up Castle Volcar. So, anyways. So, as I said, I am going to be cutting off here, and the next step basically has me doing some stuff that I don't necessarily have to show you guys on camera, which is we got to go to the Arcanum, and then we'll make our way up here to the Septimus Cygnus's Opus to talk to him, and he'll send us over here to Alftand, and we have to go down into the Falmer underground place, and find that Elder Scroll, and then we'll head back to him, and he'll tell us about opening that thing, which then Hermaeus Mor will be like, I want you to carry through with that and then become my new champion instead of him. Yeah, and then we'll be able to go back to the castle and bring the scrolls to our Moth Priest friend. So I'm going to go ahead and do that stuff off camera up to that point. So stay tuned.